Okay, the next set of books is going to be on how we relate to each other, with the assumption that our relationships are the bearers of the educational process. So we looked at how we might copy nature and embrace a more playful approach to continuing education, to continue or higher education. And part of it's got to be one of the essential parts of the personal Master of Arts degree and the future of adult education is how we relate to one another. So there's some really cool research on this that I'm excited to share with you. Number one, book 11 is Between Us, How Cultures Create Emotions. Beautifully designed book by Norton, by Batja, B-A-T-J-A, Mesquita. And this is, I want to say 2004, 2005, pretty new, 2022. Okay, here we go, even newer than that. This is the main idea of this book, is that cultures create emotions, and she uses this wonderful acronym between mine or ours. So emotions basically happen between us. Let's look at this. So we normally think of emotions as mine, which is an acronym for, where is that? Mine emotions are mental, so we experience them as a mental phenomenon inside the person as essentialist, so that they basically have all of the same properties for sadness, anger, so on and so forth. And ours model is that they are actually outside the person, relational and situated, so they change based on culture. Now notice, we think of emotions as mine, they're inside here. Her research actually suggests that emotions are outside, that they are, yes, we experience them inside, but when you walk into a room and you're upset, that emotion, and I relate to you, that emotion is transferred. So she also really looks at, this is a beautiful way of not pathologizing emotions, seeing how different cultures raise their kids. I thought this was really insightful in looking at the values of shame, which I would normally associate shame as a negative emotion that impedes people, and yet being shameful of the right things is an incredibly significant part of child development and adult development, you could say. So this is interesting in how emotions create our cultures, and how our cultures create emotions. I loved what this book did for me in helping me rethink emotion and draw attention to the interpersonal dynamic aspects of how we learn with each other, which suggests this is more theory. This is the intersubjective turn, theoretical approaches to contemplative learning and inquiry across disciplines. Edited by Olin Gunnlaugson, Charles Scott, Heeson Bai, and Edward W. Sareth. And this is from SUNY Press 2017. And what's so cool about this, there's some stuff on contemplative leadership here, non-dual consciousness and cosmos, bhakti yoga's devotional branch of yoga, listening dangerously, the inner dimensions of dialogue training by Judith Simmer Brown. That looks awesome. Writing the Quadrant as intersubjective practice. Both of those look awesome. I'm not sure I noticed those. But this is the sense that the intersubjective turn is that we learn from each other. So not just within ourselves, but that when we learn across disciplines, we are learning from each other. I'll just open up to any page, just love doing to get a sense. And we have a quote from Leonard Cohen, 2010. Broadcast your light through the apple of pain, radiant one, sourceless source of light. I wait for you, king of the dead, here in this garden where you placed me, beside the poisonous grass, miasmal homesteads, black Hebrew gibberish of pruned grapevines. I wait for you in the springtime of beatings and gross unnecessary death. Direct me out of this, O magnet of the falling cherry petals. Count me back to your mercy with the measures of a bitter song, and do not separate me from my tears. Wow. All right. And this is from Bhakti Yoga devotional practice, and noticing synchronicity here. We've been really studying attention in the past weeks and how that attention works, particularly when it applies and how we apply it to other people and groups of people. So this is more framework in seeing how we might interact. And that gets us to the third in this set, 11, 12, 13. Book number 13 is dialogue. So this is the rediscovering the transforming power of conversation. This is in the lineage, I am pretty sure, of David Bohm. Yep, there we go. To David Bohm, to being the inspiration. So David Bohm's famous work on dialogue. These authors look at the living technology of dialogue, bringing dialogue to work, transformational power of dialogue, and a dialogue of partnership. All of this kind of suggests that the real learning work happens between us, and that is that. How do we tap into this? Here we go. Improvisation for Theater, Viola Spolin. This is one of the top books I'm most sad to return, so I will probably buy this book because I love it. This is a poetry workshop thing. And this is an amazing presentation of a life of improv. Notice we have a set of theory and foundation, exercises, and then exercises around orientation, exercises around sense of place, acting with the whole body, non-directional blocking, refining awareness, broadcasting, and technical effects. I think non-directional blocking is when you blocking is preventing the arriving of improvisation, preoccupation. That makes sense. Broadcasting, technical effects, developing material for situations, speech and rounding out exercises, emotions, character, children in theater, fundamentals for the child actor, formal theater and improvisational theater, appendices with new exercises, a list of exercises. Oh my gosh. So yeah, her book is the Bible, says Rob Reiner. This is like a perfect book for a home library. I'm going to be excited about that. And notice that this book is still in the theme of how we set up educational environments to learn from the emotions between us that arise from genuine dialogue, where we are at least aware of some contemplative traditions and contemplative education. There is another one that I'm not sure to put in here, but I'm going to. Number 15, this is Asian healing traditions in counseling and psychotherapy. This is a different category a little bit because we are now in the domain of psychotherapy and group dynamics, or at least that's one of the reasons why I got this one. I'm personally interested in alternative psychologies. Buddhism, I think, is better understood as a psychology than a philosophy. So it's nice to see a textbook looking at Asian traditions, particularly Buddhism is why I got this one, but they do have some Qigong, Taoism, Confucianism, Confucianism, Taoism, Hinduism, traditionally the three major Asian traditions, and how those interact. So really cool as approaching and understanding that. They got a great thing on Nikon, which is one of the things I love about this, that is a nice last one in this group of 5, is Bacha Mosquita in between us starts to hint that emotions, we are quick to pathologize emotions, to label emotions as bad. Nikon therapy is basically this is a completely different approach to therapy that is designed to remove I-centered perspectives. I did this person did this to me, to more other-centered perspectives. From this person's perspective, what I did was nothing but trouble. So instead of The idea here is you're not treating the depression or anxiety. You are treating the over preoccupation with an I, with a sense of self, that is at the root of that depression and anxiety. And so when we don't, so basically the process of Nikon therapy, as I understand it, is to you basically explore who and what kindnesses brought you to where you are, and how you have interacted with other people and how you've brought them pain. So you kind of go through these questions of understanding your history, all as a way. Yeah, here we go. Nikon's 3 themes: what the client received from that person, what he or she gave back to that person, and what trouble he or she caused that person. So you're really looking at the history of your interpersonal relationships, not to alleviate troubling emotions. This is like, yeah, troubling emotions are a part of life, especially if you're preoccupied with an I. I loved that sense that there are different ways to approach therapeutic engagements with other people as we engage in improvisational dialogue and learn from each other, and actually structure educational systems to learn from each other as essential. That's this set.